Events are happening in the Boston area to raise awareness of brain aneurysms and help with family supports and advances in research. To tell us about the efforts is the executive director of the Brain Aneurysm Foundation, Christine Buckley. Thank you very much for being with us, Christine.
Thank you, Chris, for having me back.
This is a scary word, not as common as some other things, but what exactly, again, is an aneurysm?
A brain aneurysm is a bulging on a vessel in the brain. So it's a weakening of that vessel where constant blood flow through that vessel will ultimately pouch out, almost like a balloon on an inner tube.
Now, there are a lot of health problems that we're warned about. You know, someone says, don't do this or you'll get a stroke or something. But what about aneurysm? Do people see these things coming?
They really don't see them coming, which is part of the problem in the diagnosis. But some people will have the worst headache of their life, and that's a sign of a rupture. So there is a bleed in the brain, and that's an emergent situation. And through awareness and education, that's the piece that we're trying to avoid. So other people, prior to a rupture, they may have some vision problems, a headache, neck pain, just not feel right. But because they are vague symptoms, then they often don't go to the doctor or get those things checked out, but also sometimes it's just incidental findings. We've heard from people who've been in a car accident, maybe not feeling great after, and unrelated have a scan and they find an aneurysm. So we really do want to find them before they rupture.
Yeah, we also know that some people are at more risk than others too, right?
Yes, women are at a higher risk at a ratio of 3 to 2. At the age range where they're more prevalent is 35 to 60, although they can happen at any time. Hispanics and African Americans, if they have an aneurysm, are more likely to rupture at twice the rate. So those are kind of the people most impacted.
So what about these other factors that account for those disparities? Is it about access to emergency care, access to maybe follow-up care? What do you think?
Say that again?
Why are some people more likely to have a severe case than others? You mentioned, you know, Latinos and blacks, for example.
Well, I think that is, yeah, in terms of their location and their access to the health care, absolutely. And then blood pressure is a risk. So some people's diet, and, you know, so they call the stroke belt in the South. That's true just because, again, what people are eating and just not paying as much attention to their health care or the access to it is another reason that causes more problems. I mean, we're in an area where the health care is great. There's a lot of like stroke certified centers which help out. So if someone is transported to a hospital in an emergent situation, they have a much better chance at a better outcome.
One thing that's new this year is how much attention aneurysms got recently at the Museum of Science. There was a Brain Science Day. What happened there?
So we're very fortunate. So there's an organization called the Dana Foundation, and they do a lot with just the brain in general. So they have established a Brain Week. So it was Brain Week last week. So we were fortunate to be at the Museum of Science for 2 days to just raise awareness and educate the general public coming through the museum. And it was great because we had 3 companies that treat brain aneurysms that were there partnering with us. So they were able to show the people coming through the clips and the coils that they use to treat. And someone also brought in a microscope that they use in the surgery to treat. So it was a great opportunity to raise awareness and also for the device companies to understand, because they're used to educating about stroke, but the stroke that most people are more familiar with, which is an ischemic stroke and the clot, versus a hemorrhagic stroke and a bleed. So it was a really wonderful opportunity for all of us.
This is BNN News. We're talking with Christine Buckley of the Brain Aneurysm Foundation. Christine, you have another advocacy day coming up pretty soon. Now, what are you going to be shooting for with that?
So our Advocacy Day is March 27th, next Wednesday, coming up in Capitol Hill in D.C. So we right now have about 100 people from 22 different states that will be joining us. And, you know, first and foremost, it's always about education and awareness, but we also have legislation on the Hill that is currently bipartisanly supported in the House, and that's called Ellie's Law, and that's for $5 million for 5 years for brain aneurysm-specific research funding through a portion of NIH called NINDS, which is the National Institute of Neurological Diseases and Stroke. So we're really thrilled with the bipartisan support from Yvette Clarke from New York and Peter King from New York, and we're also working on getting that bipartisan support in the Senate as well.
Well, we talked about aneurysms and at least the early medical attention. But what happens later, living with the after effects, both for the person who has the aneurysm and the family? What is that like?
It's oftentimes it's very different, and it's a struggle, and it's a complete life change. And that's the thing, with the statistics being 1 in 50 people having a brain aneurysm in the United States, 30,000 people a year rupturing, and half those people dying. That one multiplies out once that one is part of a family. So 66% of the people who survive a rupture have some kind of deficit. And some of them are never able to go back to work, or they can't resume the normal course of life. And a lot of people, if you met them, or if you and I met them, we wouldn't notice it, we wouldn't see it, but they know it, and their family knows it. And sometimes if they are in the workforce, there's changes there. They may have to change their job to something different. So it's a struggle for the rest of their lives, because they always will need that 66%, some kind of either rehab or other attention as they go through a life. So it is very devastating.
And of course, a bit later this year, you're going to bring some of those families together, I guess, for the arterial challenge.
Yes, exactly. So at Fenway Park, our 18th annual arterial challenge, it's a 5K and a walk. Last year, we made over $100,000, our best outcome ever with the event. Probably had about 1,000 people there. So it's just a great time. It's a great family event. We come back to Fenway afterwards, and Wally's there, the trophies are there, people can sit on the third base side, we have some music. So it's just a great coming together for people to talk and share their stories and just come together for this disease that affects so many people.
Another thing you do every year, you show some recognition to your champions. Anybody we should know about?
Yeah, one champion I think we probably all will know is our mayor, Martin Walsh. He has been very supportive of our initiatives over the last few years, and helping us light up some structures red during our September, which is Awareness Month. He came to a Bruins game this year where we had the opportunity to be part of the 50-50 raffle, and he showed up and spent about an hour or two of his time to help us just, talk to the people coming by, and again, just raising that awareness and education. And it's pivotal to have people in his role in leadership to speak out for this disease and really recognize that it does need more attention and awareness. So we're forever grateful to him, and so he'll be one of our champions April 5th at the UMass Club.
Finally, Christine, if people want some more details or to get some answers, you got a website they can go to?
Yeah, we have a website. We just redid it about 2 weeks ago, a new look and feel. It's bafound.org, so it's bafound.org.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you, Chris.
Christine Buckley from the Brain Aneurysm Foundation.